Today in our 2019 Subaru Outback Wagon, we're going to be doing a test fit on the Hollywood Rack's Trail Rider Platform Style 2 bike rack. That's part number HR200Z. Now this bike rack, I've already got it loaded up on our Subaru just to give you a good idea what it looks like. Got a bike loaded up too, so you can see how it's going to hold our bikes. Now it holds two bikes with the top tube here. The rubber coated frame hook puts down pressure on that top tube into the cradles. Not a bad way to carry two bikes. As you can see, I'm giving it a little bit of a shake here, and there's not a whole lot of movement. So again, it's going to be a safe way to transport our two bikes. Now this bike rack doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but that's okay because it's extremely easy to use. Now it also doesn't tilt away like most platform style bike racks. Instead, it has a unique way for loading and unloading your bikes, but we'll get to that in a second. Since it doesn't tilt away, I want to show you how much room, or about how much room you'll have if you want to get into your rear hatch. So depending on your bike, like I said, you may have a little bit more or a little bit less room. So you can still get some small items out of here. With our road bike, we can still get maybe a helmet, some shoes, or maybe some small groceries out of there. So just keep that in mind. Now let's get to unloading our bike. We'll start by undoing the wheel straps. They are hook and loop. You simply pull them apart and then let them hang. We'll raise up that front hook and then we'll raise up that second hook. From here, we can pull out the pin on the center mast and tilt it away. So as you can see, this is a lot easier than having to fumble around with the bike and try to lift it up over with the vehicle in the way and over those frame hooks. With this way, we can just lift it straight off. And of course, with it in this position, we can open up that rear hatch all the way, nothing's in the way, and we can remove any cargo we might have with us in our rear hatch area of our Subaru Outback. When we're all finished, we can raise it back up and replace that pin. And I'm just going to go ahead and lower these hooks down. That way they're not up all the way. Also, what I like to do is replace these straps. That way they're not hanging around and they don't get damaged. Now let's take some measurements. So overall, from the Outback's bumper, we've added about 23 inches. For our closest point, it's going to be from our bumper to about here on our shank, about 2.5 inches. And our ground clearance here, the very back, is going to be around 19 inches. Now you can of course leave it like this while you're hitting the trails or when you're driving around town, but if you'd like to store it off the vehicle, a nice way to do that is to fold up the platform. And the way that works is you can pull the pin here on each side, raise it up, realigning those holes, and reinsert it to lock it in place. And you can of course drive with it in this position as well if you don't wish to take it off. It just kind of gives you a little bit more clearance on each side to remove the bike rack or put it in place. So with it in this position, the measurements don't change. Now it will work with 1 1/4 inch and 2-inch hitches. You can see the 1 1/4 inch shank here, and it includes a sleeve that goes over that 1 1/4 inch shank that adapts to that 2-inch receiver, which is what we have here. The anti-rattle bolt and lock is included. The nice thing about that anti-rattle bolt is that's what's going to give us that solid ride for our two bikes that we talked about earlier. The lock is going to prevent anyone from removing it from our hitch. And I wanted to mention earlier that the lock is key-like to our frame hooks, which are lockable as well. That way no one can remove our bike from our bike rack. But with that being said, that's going to complete our test fit of the Hollywood Rack's Trail Rider Platform Style 2 bike rack, part number HR200Z on our 2019 Subaru Outback Wagon.